Hey, Chef Walker, and this is day 2 of the 30-day challenge. And so this is all about, I've been in business online for 20 years, wanted to celebrate that anniversary and thought I'd do something a little bit different. So thinking back to when I first started, it was incredibly humble beginnings. And I remember I had this idea to start publishing online. I didn't know where it would go, and there's all different threads. I was just a stay-at-home dad. I hadn't made any money in years and years, hidden zero income in years, just home taking care of a couple little kids, but really wanted this change in my life. So I decided I was going to start publishing online, which was a really new idea way back in 1996. So in any case, had this idea. And I remember at that time I was really passionate about the stock market, and I was studying the stock market, following the stock market nonstop. And there was back then you couldn't get stock quotes everywhere like you can right now. I mean, they're everywhere online, but back then that didn't really exist. There wasn't all these sites where you could just pull up stock quotes, stock prices, and things like that. But there's this one guy who each day he would publish the closing numbers in the stock market, like the closing S&P 500 and the Dow and whatever. And he would just send out an email with just a big long list. It was a very simple email, just a text email and a list of these, whatever, 40 indexes or something with their closing prices. And down at the bottom of his email, he would list how many subscribers he had. And I think he had somewhere around 600. And I remember, like, at that point, for some reason, this idea of having a list and having a publishing to a list, I just somehow knew that it was going to be powerful. But I was sitting there and I remember looking at the bottom of his emails and seeing he's got 600 people that are subscribing to his email list. And I didn't even have that terminology there back then, but I'm like, he's got 600 subscribers. Oh my gosh. He's like cornered the market. Like literally at that time, I thought this one person was publishing via email that had like 600 subscribers. That was like, yes, that was the market. He had cornered the market. And like, I wish I had that idea back when he had that idea, because no one else is ever going to be able to come in here and get 600 subscribers. And it's funny how limited your thinking can be at times, and the things that can hold you back from starting your business. So that did hold me back. I'm like, wow, this guy, he had that first mover advantage. He had that first starter advantage. There's no way I could possibly compete with him. And that actually held me back for months. I'd sit there and I'd look and his subscriber, he'd always, every day, he'd list the number and it'd slowly grow. And I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that. And then one day I realized, you know what, I can do that. And it's not going to look just like his. It's going to look a little bit different, but I can actually just start publishing. And that's what I did. And, I've told this story before. My first newsletter, I started a newsletter. It was initially once a month, and then I went to twice a month, and then consistently became more and more often. But that first one went out I had 19 email addresses on my distribution list, and it was just sent via blind carbon copy. But it grew through word of mouth. And I started building my email list before I had a website. I didn't know how to build a website back then. It was hard building a website. It cost a lot of money to get your website hosted. I didn't even know about that, actually, frankly. I had no idea. The idea of a website was just like rocket science to me. But I knew I could write an email and send an email, and that's what I started doing. And it's funny because I think because that guy had those 600 subscribers, I had this initial goal of I just want to get to 600 subscribers. And really at that point, I had this inkling that there would be power in being a publisher and having this distribution list, this email list, these people that were following me and reading my emails. So that the most humble beginnings, and that was actually that first email went out on August 30th, 1996. So that's what I count as my anniversary of starting my business. I wasn't making any money initially then. I didn't know where it would go. I wasn't incorporated, but I did start publishing. And that's how, at the end of the day, that's the business we're in. We're in the publishing business. Even if you have a bricks and mortars business, you need to be online. You need to be publishing, because we're all in the publishing business. We're all in the audience aggregation business. We're all in the platform building business. And that's how you build a business. That's how you build a long, a sustaining asset, a sustaining business. That's how I've been around for 20 years, because I started right from that very beginning, focused on building that list, building that presence, building that platform, being a publisher. Right from the very beginning, I define myself as a publisher. That was my business, and that's the business I'm still in. So, like I said, initially, it hasn't been 20 years since I made my first money, since I've brought in my first revenue, but it's been 20 years since I started publishing. And tomorrow I'm going to tell you the somewhat surprising way that I actually brought in the first revenue, where money started coming into my business. So no matter where you're watching this, if it's on Facebook, if it's on my YouTube channel, if it's at my blog at jeffwalker.com, scroll on down, leave a comment, give me a share in social, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, just give me some kind of reaction, and let's go get them this week.